Hello everyone, welcome back to the IMS BBA YouTube channel. This is going to be one of the most important videos for your exam season. Today, we will be looking at the analysis for NPAT 2025. In this video, we will be discussing the paper pattern, the test interface which you will encounter inside the examination hall, what are the important topics for each and every section, and finally, what is the right strategy to ace this test. Now, starting with the paper pattern, it is similar to the past years where there are 40 questions in quantitative ability, 40 questions in logical reasoning, 40 questions in verbal ability. In total, you have 120 questions where the total time limit is 100 minutes. There is no sectional time limit, which means that you can decide how much time you want to spend for each and every section. Now, NPAT is an examination without any negative marking. So, for every correct, you get +1. Since there is no negative marking, you need to make sure that you are attempting all 120 questions. Next, very important that there is no calculator available inside NPAT. So, you must memorize your tables, be good with your squares, cubes, factorials so that you can quickly do your mental calculations and navigate through the entire quant section. Very important, on the day of the examination, make sure that you carry the printout of your admit card which you can download from your NPAT dashboard, and also carry the original ID proof which you have mentioned while filling the NPAT form. Now, without carrying these two documents, you won't be given the access into the examination center. So make sure that you are carrying both the documents on the day of the test. Coming to the test interface. This is the demo test interface which we have created for you guys. In this, on the top right, you can see the time remaining. You can also see which question you are on and how many more questions you have. Now, at a time you can see a single question. You can see the 4 options. You can use the previous and the next button here to navigate between the next question and the previous question. Very important that inside the NPAT, the order of the section is right now fixed, which means that when the examination begins, you will first encounter 40 questions of quants, then 40 questions of logical reasoning, and finally 40 questions of verbal ability. But all 120 questions are available since the first minute, which means that if somebody wants to start with the verbal ability section, what they can do is they can click on this navigating button. Once they click on the navigator button, they can see a screen like this. Now, question number 81 is the first verbal question. So, after clicking, you can scroll down. After scrolling, you can click on question number 81, which will take you to the first question of verbal ability, and then you can solve the entire verbal ability section. After that, let us say you decide to solve the quantitative ability. Again, you can click on navigator, click on question number 1, which is the first question of quants, and then move forward. Now, a tutorial on this interface is also available before you start the examination. My recommendation is that spend enough time with this tutorial so that you are comfortable and you don't waste a lot of time during the exam to understand the interface. Now, coming to each and every section, where let us start with quants. Now, one of our students have written NPAT recently, and this is what he had encountered in the quant section. There were 8 questions in data interpretation across 2 sets where each set had 4 questions. Now these sets were very easy. One set was on profit and loss, the other set was on percentages. So very easy to comprehend. But there were few questions which were slightly lengthy to calculate and get the answer. Now in NPAT, you need to make sure that you are not wasting more than 90 seconds or 2 minutes maximum on a single question of quants. Now, there were 6 questions on data comparison where there were 2 quantities given and 2 variables, and you had to compare which was the bigger. Very important thing to note that in data comparison questions, there were only 3 options. Option A was written as always, option B was written as sometimes, option C was written as never. Now, all the remaining questions in NPAT have 4 options A, B, C and D. Here there were only 3 options. So when you encounter this, don't get fumbled or don't get surprised कि oh the question is not loading or there is something missing. No, This data comparison questions had only 3 options. Next, trigonometry, like past years, was one of the most important quants chapter where there were 6 questions from trigo. Then 4 questions were from set theory and Venn diagram, 3 from sequence and series, 2 questions each from time and work, probability, ratio, proportions, percentages and algebra. The questions on algebra were from algebraic formulas. So make sure that before the examination you have thoroughly revised all your algebraic formulas. There was 1 question each from search, statistics and modulus. Now, the question on statistics was mean deviation about median. So it was a formula based, data was given, but again slightly lengthy to calculate. Coming to logical reasoning, you had 10 questions in verbal reasoning, 8 questions in visual reasoning, 5 questions in data sufficiency. Again, Venn diagram had 4 questions. There was 1 set on linear arrangement, and based on that set, you had 4 questions. Now, again, the set was pretty straightforward, where there were 7 people and you had to arrange them according to their height. This was a close-ended set, which means that if you spend time to get the arrangement right at the beginning, you can get all the 4 questions right. So it was a question where spending more time would even fetch you more marks. Next, coding decoding, there were 3 questions. 2 questions were on syllogisms. So this is how the logical reasoning section was distributed across different topics. Very important thing to note that there were some questions which were easy but not very easy at the first go. So if you spend some time, you were able to crack the logic behind them, but which means that this section would require slightly more time, and it is recommended that if you spend almost 40 to 45 minutes in this section, you can boost your overall score. Now, coming to verbal ability section, there were 12 questions in reading comprehension where there were 3 passages and 4 questions in each and every passage. Very important point to note that out of these 12 questions, majority of the questions were based on inference, where there were questions such as strengthening the argument of the author, weakening the argument created by the author. Also, there were questions where they were asking the tone of the passage. So, to answer such questions, you need to carefully read the entire passage, understand the passage, and then only you can get these questions right. Now, when I say that you need to carefully read, you need to also be aware that out of the 3 passages, there was 1 passage which had 4 paragraphs. There was another passage with 7 paragraphs, and there was third passage with 6 paragraphs. So, you need to make sure that you are improving your reading speed in each and every mock and on daily basis so that you can attempt these passages in the time limit which is required. Next, there were 8 questions on closed passage where there were 2 closed passages and 4 questions each. Now, what is a closed passage? There is a paragraph which is given to you, and in that paragraph there were 4 words which were missing, which had fill in the blanks, and you had to fill them. Now, there were 5 questions on spot the error. There could be grammatical error, a vocabulary error, or there can be an error in framing the particular sentence, or there could also be a particular question where there is no error and there is an option given as there is no error in the question. So make sure that you know your grammatical rules to answer this question. Next, 5 very easy straightforward question on prepositions. There were 5 questions on vocabulary and phrases where you need to know the meaning of the particular word and idioms. Then there were 5 questions on parajumbles. Now these 5 questions on parajumbles could have been answered very quickly if you have learned the option elimination method. And this is how the 40 questions look for verbal ability section. Now let us look at what is the ideal strategy to ace this set. Now in this particular test, you need to spend 30 to 35 minutes in quants where you are making sure that you can make 25 to 30 good attempts. In logical reasoning, you need to spend 40 to 45 minutes and make sure that you have at least 30 to 35 good attempts. In verbal ability, you cannot spend more than 25 minutes, and in that time frame, you need to make sure that you have 35 to 40 good attempts. Now, when I say good attempts, these are the attempts which you are going to do genuinely. But since there is no negative marking. Make sure that you are putting some answer for the remaining questions. Now, what should be the ideal order of attempting the sections? You should start with verbal, then you should move to logical reasoning, and finally the last section should be quants. Now, this is the ideal order which is recommended by us, but again it can change based on your strengths, based on your weaknesses. Now, let us say somebody feels that verbal is not their strength and quants is better for them, so they can spend only 15 minutes in verbal and then spend 40 minutes in quants. So, how will you identify what is your strength and weakness and what is the ideal order for you? Answer is very simple. You need to write enough IMS SIM NPAT mocks. Once you write mocks and you analyze, you will be able to easily identify your strengths and weaknesses. So, before you go for your NPAT actual attempt, make sure that you have taken enough SIM NPAT mocks provided by IMS. Now, coming to the expected cutoff for the Mumbai campus. Very important point to note that NMIMS never officially announces the cutoff. These cutoffs are purely based on our experience and it is an educated guess by us. Now, BSc Finance since past 2 years always has the highest cutoff, where this year we are expecting that the cutoff will be between 78 to 80. Now, if you can aim to secure 80 plus score, it is a very safe bet to secure any of the courses in the Mumbai campus. And at 80 plus score, you can somewhere be confident to get BSc Finance. A 70 plus score can fetch you BBA program. A 60 to 70 score can help you secure BCom Honors, BSc Economics. Now, a score between 50 to 60 can help you get the remaining programs in the NMIMS Mumbai campus. Again, these are educated guesses by us based on the experience and looking at the trends of our students since the past years. Now, this course will help you set a target while you are writing this mocks. I hope this video was very informative and you got a lot of insights into how you need to now prepare for your NPAT for the year 2025. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe our channel so that you are updated with such informative videos on regular basis. If you have any doubts regarding NPAT, feel free to put it in our comment section. Our team will surely get back to you.